Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Puree, by the way, and I just wanted to say thank you for watching. Sorry that it took me a while to make this video, and I'm sorry that I'm taking a long time to push out the videos that I've been promising you guys. I'm really trying to get a hold of everything, and there's just been a lot going on, so please stick with me, and I promise I'll get those videos out. But let's get into today's video. Today's video, we are going to be talking about Lolita fashion trends, and these ones are more so trends of the past, and that, I mean, people may still be using these trends, and that's fine. Doesn't make them not trendy or whatever you want to say. But I just kind of wanted to reminisce over some of the things that I personally saw in Lolita fashion throughout the years, and maybe some newcomers who are going into the fashion can learn about, and maybe they'll like some of them and want to try them themselves. I don't think that using old trends will make you an Ida or anything. Personally, I think it's fun to revive some of these things, so I really encourage it if you find any of them that you really like. Let's go into the first one. The first one I put down was split hair wigs. So split hair wigs were pretty popular in the early 2010s. I'd say maybe even starting in like around 2008 or 9. I could be wrong with that, but I know that it was kind of popularized when OTT Sweet was coming into style. A lot of it was usually like a blonde with a pastel color, but there were other pastel tones that were used, like a light blue and a light pink or something of the sorts. I'll be putting pictures on the screen to give you an example of them. And that was pretty big. I would say that that even came into more not normie styles per se, but it became a little bit more mainstream outside of Lolita fashion to also do like a split hairdo. It was kind of cool to see what I initially saw first only in Lolita being brought into public eye. The next one I put down is pastel colored wigs, which is kind of similar to the split toned colored wigs, but these ones were like all bubblegum pink or all cotton candy blue. And yeah, I guess the best way I can describe them is they reminded me of cotton candy all the time. A lot of people had pastel colored wigs, especially people who were trying to do like a bittersweet look, I feel. But if you don't know what bittersweet is, or if some people don't even think it's a thing or not, but what it is having like an all dark colorway of a sweet print or something sweet related, and then adding like a pastel tone to it. So kind of think of like pastel goth, but make it Lolita. And I wouldn't say that bittersweet is gothic at all, but I would say it's just using dark like black tones mixing with pastel colors. Number 3 is split tea party colors. I know that Tyler has touched on this before in their videos, and they really like this trend. I honestly, I feel like this trend was used often, but for whatever reason, I feel like it wasn't around too long. I could be very wrong with that, but basically people, Sweet Lolita specifically, I don't think any other Lolitas sub-style wise were doing this, but mainly Sweet Lolitas were doing like, oh, say like your cord is mainly pink and blue, so they're gonna be wearing one pink and one blue tea party, and that's pretty fun to mix it up, especially if you have a split colored wig, because that's like ultimate coordinating, right? Number 4 is big hair. So big hair was pretty common throughout a lot, even like in the beginnings of like brand Lolita like models. They would have pretty large hair, and the magazines and stuff for tutorials, you know, lots of teasing and things were always a pretty commonplace thing. But I would say if we're going to be going into like when like the late 2000s, early 2010s, when Lolita was kind of being introduced. It kind of changed the big hair to a different style of big hair where it was like huge curls and big teasing in like a bumpy kind of way, where like, I don't know if you remember in like the early or like the late 2000s, everyone was teasing their hair like and then putting a brush over it, so you'd have like a huge bumpy kind of like a 60s like hive kind of look on the top. But that was kind of big when was starting out, and then you'd have like huge curls and even like a little pigtail or something. That was pretty big, and I feel like it trickled its way into all the other substyles, like especially for OTT Sweet. Like they all had huge hair, not exactly in the same way as Hime, but very similar, and it was usually mixed with having a pastel color tone to it. Number 5 is bangs and twin tails, and that again kind of goes in with a hairdo. So bangs in Lolita, like I feel like everybody assumes, at least like people who are younger and getting into Lolita, or people who don't know much about Lolita, maybe not so much anymore, but in the past it was a very common misunderstanding that you have to have like bangs in Lolita. And for me, I know that I literally got bangs for like the aesthetic of Lolita and stuff, not because I thought it was like mandatory per se, I just wanted that look. But it is not mandatory, guys, don't worry. I don't have a full fringe bang anymore. I wear a side part bang, side swept, so you're not alone if you don't use a full fringe. Obviously like my wig has it, but I personally only really like myself in full fringe with the wigs. I don't know, maybe someday I'll go back to it, but we'll see. But yeah, and then twin tails were so popular. Like everyone had twin tail extensions or twin tail extensions for their wigs that were like these clip-on ones, kind of like if you've ever done a cosplay. Like I know that I shouldn't be like using cosplay as a comparison, but I'm just being honest. If you ever had like a cosplay that has pigtails and you get a wig, it'll have like those clamps like that. And that was like so popular, and now I've been seeing people getting those extensions only like for their natural hair, and I was like, that's a really good idea. I really like that. I might try doing that, because you know, wearing a whole wig sometimes it's really uncomfortable, but sometimes you just want to change your hair up a little bit. So I think that's a really good idea. But yeah, and then I think even some people were using like fake clip-in bangs to achieve that look, so those were really popular. Number 6 is circle lenses. Now this is something that was really big in the 2010s, like insanely big, and I say this because I fell into that when I got into Lolita, or when I got a little bit like more into it. I think like when I was 15 or 16 I got circle lenses, and I would wear them all the time. I think circle lenses are really cool. I would like to get another pair sometime soon, but I do have an astigmatism and they tend to be a lot more expensive. Not as expensive as normal contact lenses, but more expensive. And I'm always like, do I really want to spend that much money for something fashion related to go in my eyes that are not necessary? But circle lenses were really big. Everyone had them. It honestly did feel like you had to have them for Lolita. That's the thing that's funny to me, is that I didn't really think about bangs being a requirement for Lolita. I just wanted them. But circle lenses, I literally felt like it had to be an requirement. It felt like when you go into the fashion and you need to have a petticoat. That's what it felt like. It felt like as necessary as a petticoat because everybody had circle lenses, and you just kind of looked odd not having them. I feel like, at least in like the sweet part of Lolita, and you know, going into it at that time, like it felt like I'm gonna look like a newbie without circle lenses. So they were huge, especially ones like, I feel like purples and pinks like in the circle lenses were really popular. I always just did natural eye color, but like the more unnatural ones that are like pinks and purples were pretty popular. Same with like blue. So yeah, that was entertaining. Okay, number 7 is Falsies. And I think that this is still really popular now, but I feel like, again, it was almost like the same as the circle lenses. It felt like everyone did falsies, like the Dolly falsie ones that were like spikier. I don't know how to describe it, but I'll put some pictures up. And like to do like the round Dolly eye look with the circle lenses, like that was the iconic Lolita eye look in my mind. Like getting into Lolita at that time, like that was Lolita. Number 8 was the giant Poof, and I feel like this is what we're in right now. I feel like there's like a fight between giant Poof and little Poof. I'm on the little Poof side, but a lot, and I feel like this was kind of, I feel like big Poof was like the huge thing in 2020, and in 2021 it feels like brands are pushing big Poof still. But I do feel like it's dying out a little bit, and people are like kind of going completely reverse into no Poof or little Poof. But the giant petticoats were huge, big hoop skirts, which in my opinion, hoop skirts do give like a different look to them than petticoats. Like you still get a shape, but you definitely get like way more of an extreme shape wearing a hoop skirt in my opinion. So yeah, that's wearing multiple petticoats, all that jazz. Number 9 is printed socks. I feel like we're kind of falling out of this trend right now. I feel like a lot of people are going for like the old school looking frilly socks that are just plain, or I should say like printed tights and socks were really popular. Like for a long time now, but I do feel like, although yeah, I think they're definitely gonna stay forever, I do feel like there are people who are like going into having plain socks now, which I think was gone for a really long time. 10, Dolly Makeup, as what I said that earlier kind of, but yeah, like Dolly Makeup was really big. I feel like now it's not necessary to wear makeup at all with Lolita. Not to say that like anybody would have said it was necessary before, but I do think that there kind of was a little bit of a push to have Dolly Makeup in Lolita, especially for Sweet Lolita. So yeah. 11 is Star Hairclips, which I still see, but they were so popular when they were like starting out in the 2010s. Like, oh, there were so many of them. I really wanted them. I never got any. I got like a very similar thing to it, but never like the actual like dangly ones. But everyone had them in their little like big poofy split wig. Like it was insane. And I still see them, but like not as much as they were. Like that was again one of like the like iconic staple pieces for a sweet cord. 12 is the cookie bags. Oh my god, I've always wanted one of the cookie bags. I still do, even though I am not a Sweet Lolita like in that sense anymore, but they're so cool and I like them a lot, and everyone had one. Yeah. Number 13 is something that maybe a lot of people wouldn't realize or think of because it's not really like Lolita adjacent, but Rilakkuma was so popular amongst Sweet Lolitas. Like so popular. Everyone had Rilakkuma something or another. Like everyone had the Rilakkuma iPhone cases, everyone had the Rilakkuma bed sheets, Rilakkuma plushies, anything Rilakkuma, we all had it. And I still love Rilakkuma. Like I am obsessed with him. He is my favorite. I like him more than Sanrio. So, but I've noticed like that's not really as popular anymore with like Lolitas. Like I never see as many like Rilakkuma stuff as I did. Like everyone had Rilakkuma. Now like it seems like a personal preference thing, but it was just, that's just something I noticed. And then the last one is mini crowns and sabers, and that kind of goes with the Hime look, but they were popular amongst all like even classics and goths. Everyone had the little crowns that you could tie around your head and costed a ton of money and would break. And the sabers that also I think had a crown on it. You can, if you ever watched like Deerstalkers, like I know in their like hierarchy of Lolitas, the queen bee one always had the little saber and the crown, and that was very popular, and yeah, it was kind of cool to see that. But yeah, I hope you guys like this video. I'll come back at you with another one soon, and thanks for watching. Bye.